This video will help you better understand how to locate reliable information about a topic. We will understand what is meant by the term credible source, what the difference is between a primary and a secondary source, and by the end of this lesson, you should be ready to locate credible sources that will help you learn more about your chosen research topic so you can explore your question ideas. This is an interactive video. That means you'll be asked to pause the video at certain points to answer the questions in your Canvas course. Listen to the following definitions. A source is a noun. It's a person, place, or thing from which something like information can be obtained. The word credible is an adjective. That means it describes a noun. And credible means that something can be believed or it can be relied upon. So think about it. Based on these two definitions, when we put those two words together, what does the term credible source mean? Pause this video and answer this question in number 1 in the Canvas assignment. For our purposes, a credible source is a person or a place where we get believable and reliable information about a topic. This can include articles, websites, YouTube or other videos, interviews, news channels, newspapers, both online or printed, same for magazines, online or printed, and people. Look at this picture. It is a photo of Abraham Lincoln, and next to it is a quote. Don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it. The image is crediting Abraham Lincoln as having said this quote. Think about this. Do you think Abraham Lincoln said this quote? Pause the video for a moment and think about the answer to this in your head. Then continue when you're ready. Abraham Lincoln lived from 1809 to 1865. The internet did not become available for public use until the early 1990s, more than 100 years after his death. Logical thinking should tell us that he could not have said this quote because it references something that wasn't even invented yet when he was alive. Don't feel badly if you didn't catch that. Many times people are tricked into thinking that if they read something on the internet or they see a picture next to a quote, then it must be true. How do you decide whether to believe something when you hear new information? Pause the video and type your answer in question number 2. Go to question number 3 in the Canvas assignment and watch the video from Flocabulary. The link is in the question. Answer question 3 before continuing with this video. Let's work through an example. Pretend our research question is, have whitening toothpastes caused any long-term health problems? Here is a list of sources that we might find information on this topic. Pause the video and read through each of these sources. Decide if you think the source would be credible, meaning we can trust the source as not being biased one way or the other, or if it would not be fully credible, meaning that the presentation of the information might automatically lean toward one or the other side of the argument. Compare your answers to these on the screen. Those with the red X would likely be biased one way or the other. Those with the green check mark are more likely to present unbiased or neutral information about the topic. The ones with the blue question mark would need to be checked for validity before deciding if the information is credible. Review these explanations as to why the sources marked not credible would be biased one way or the other. These sources would likely provide credible information that you could trust as unbiased. Read through these explanations. In general, blogs are not considered a credible source of information. However, a first-hand account from someone who used a product and is presenting her experience with it could be considered a credible source. This is called a primary source of information. Now, to consider her results and her opinion about whitening toothpaste as definite proof for the health problems, more information or evidence, such as supporting doctor statements or report, would be needed to make this a credible source. Don't be fooled. Use these 8 tips as a way to spot fake news. First, consider the source, and those are the things we just talked about. Next, read beyond the headlines. Headlines are meant for attention grabbing, but you have to look at what's behind it. What is the whole story? Third, check the author. Do a quick search on the author to see if they are credible. Is it even a real person? Look at the supporting sources that the source you're looking at used to get its information. Check the date. Reposting old news stories does not mean that it's relevant to a current event. Next, always consider if it's a joke. There are many satire websites out there that post fake news. Consider the biases or reasons why the source might be leaned one way or the other in their judgment. Finally, ask an expert. Check with your teacher or with your librarian if you are unsure whether a source can be considered credible. In considering sources, you also need to consider if what you are checking is a primary source or a secondary source. A primary source is an immediate first-hand account about a topic from people with a direct connection to it. A secondary source is one step removed from a primary source. They often quote and use primary sources and can cover the same topic, but you have to keep in mind that there is a layer of interpretation in a secondary source. Read through the bullet points to get an idea of what kind of sources qualify as primary or secondary sources. Your Grand Prairie ISD Library Resource page is a great place to start for locating credible sources. In the description of this video, we've also included the links to some other sites that can help you. You're now ready to complete the practice of locating credible sources. Finish answering the Canvas questions and submit it to your teacher.